Hello class, my name is ZaroniE and today I'll be discussing several concepts related to capital budgeting and sensitivity analysis. First, I will be explaining how financial management uses capital budgeting to guide investment decisions. I'll cover the main goals companies aim to achieve and the functions managers perform to support long-term financial success. The primary goal of financial management is to maximize firm value. The net present value is commonly used to measure how much value a project adds. This is calculated by subtracting the present value of a project's cash outflow from the present value of the project's cash inflow. A project should be accepted if its NPV is positive and rejected if its NPV is negative. For goal number 2, the financial managers use the internal rate of return and the payback period method to ensure investments generate acceptable returns. The IRR is the discounted rates that sets the present value of project's cash inflows exactly equal to the present value of the project's cash outflow. A project should be accepted if its IRR is greater than the firm's cost of attracting capital. The payback period method is the time it takes the company to recoup its initial investment. This helps avoid projects that do not meet the company's performance standards. Goal number 3, the discounted payback period method. This improves on the regular payback method by considering the time value of money. The financial managers use it to determine how long it takes to recover an investment in present value terms. A faster recovery reduces financial risk and improves liquidity. For goal number 4, the modified internal rate of return is the same as the IRR, with the exception of the change in the reinvestment rate assumption. It still represents the yield to maturity of the cash flow stream. This produces more realistic and reliable performance measurements. Goal number 5. Firms may need to choose among a variety of good projects. These projects may have different lives or be differently sized projects that require a different amount of resources. By choosing projects with the highest profitability index, companies can take on the projects that will lead to the greatest increase in value for the company. Mutually exclusive projects are projects that compete against each other, so that when one is chosen, the other project cannot be done. Now, moving on to the sensitivity analysis. This is a tool used in capital budgeting to test how sensitive a project is to changes in assumptions. Because forecasts are uncertain, companies use this method to see how profits, returns, and cash flow react when variables such as sales or costs change. Sensitivity analysis combines strategic thinking and numerical modeling. Qualitative steps identify risks, while quantitative steps measure the financial impact. These together help firms make smarter investment decisions. When a business case package includes sensitivity scenarios, management gets a better overall feel for the project under review. The analyst who constructs the business case also has the opportunity to answer pertinent what-if questions proactively. Sensitivity analysis provides multiple points of view on a project. It also enables the review team to focus on the business drivers that have the most significant impact on potential outcomes. Sensitivity analysis helps calculate the importance of a particular assumption. This positions us to focus on the critical drivers and to avoid wasting time on drivers that have little effort on the outcome. Sensitivity analysis also will often look at the change in just one variable rather than the entire scenario. It examines how a sensitivity, a particular output, will lead to a change in a particular underlying input. From the readings on Principle of Finance, we are giving thinking steps before touching the quantitative tools like Excel. The first one being understanding the forecast, and start by asking, what forecast am I working with and what decisions does it affect? The Principles of Finance does this with Clear Lake Sporting Goods, where the forecast supports planning growth and cash needs. The second is deciding which result we care about most, usually is net income or cash flow. Third is to list the uncertain assumptions such as sales, prices, cost of goods sold, and maybe salaries or rents. The fourth is to pick a realistic range for each. Dahlquist and Knight uses examples like what if sales or prices are 10% more or less. And finally, be clear on the goal. The text says the purpose is to figure out which variables are crucial to get right so you don't waste efforts on inputs that barely change the outcome. All of this is qualitative, choosing variables, ranges, and questions, no calculations yet. Now we move from planning to calculating. Dahlquist and Knight on the principles of finance describe using pro forma financial statements in Excel so that we can change an input, the whole forecast updates automatically. Some of the steps given were to start with the base forecast. That's the normal assumption. We can use the base net income. Next is to pick one input like sales. We can increase sales by a chosen percentage, and then Excel will recalculate the net income, and then we can take a look at the new number. The third step is to then decrease that same input by the same amount and see how the net income changes again. And then finally, we can put the three results together so we can see the range of net income just from changing sales. And at the end, we can repeat the exact same process for price, cost of goods sold, or any other key inputs. When we compare the ranges, we can see which input has the biggest impact. That's the heart of the book's definition, checking how sensitive the output is to each input. Sensitivity analysis help managers by showing which assumptions are high or low impact. It tells managers where to focus its research, and it's easy to update as new information arrives by just changing input cells. In the book Business Analysis with Microsoft Excel, Carberg stresses the sensitivity analysis is practical. If changing an input hardly moves net income, it's not worth spending a lot of time forecasting that number perfectly. And if a small change in sales changes net income, then that input is crucial and deserves more research. For the next section, I will explain how companies evaluate project risk during capital budgeting. I will focus on the internal financial methods firms use within the organization and the external methods that incorporate economic and industry data. Internal financial methods rely on information the company generates itself, such as sales forecasts, cost projections, and operating data. These methods help managers understand risks that are directly tied to the project. These are the core internal methods that the Principle of Finance by Dahlquist and Knight uses. So for internal method number one is the payback period method. This is the simplest project evaluation method. It is the time it takes the company to recoup its initial investments. Its usefulness is limited because it ignores the time value of money. The second internal method is the net present value. This is calculated by subtracting the present value of a project's cash outflow from the present value of the project's cash inflow. A project should be accepted if its NPV is positive and rejected if it's negative. For internal method number three, it's the internal rate of return method of a project. This is the discount rate that sets the present value of a project's cash inflow exactly equal to the present value of the project's cash outflow. A project should be accepted if its IRR is greater than the firm's cost of attracting capital. And the internal method number four is the discounted payback period method. This method addresses the flaws from the payback period method by discounting cash flow using the company's cost of funds, and then using these discounted values to determine the payback period. I will continue to explain the external financial methods. These methods incorporate information from outside the firm, such as market conditions, interest rates, and industry performance. These tools are important because many projects' risks cannot be controlled by financial managers. By integrating external risk measures into capital budgeting, firms ensure investment decisions reflect real-world economic uncertainty. So the first external method is beta. This is a measure of volatility of the stock compared to a benchmark. Beta is a standard measure of the market risk, so it captures how much a stock or a project tends to move with overall market. External method number two is the capital asset pricing model. This is a financial theory based on the idea that investors who are willing to hold stocks that have a higher systematic risk should be rewarded more for taking on this market risk. The capital asset pricing model focuses on systematic risks rather than the stock's individual risk, because a firm's specific risk can be eliminated through diversification. Overall, internal methods helps us understand the pattern and reliability of the project's cash flow, how fast we get the money back, and how much value we create. External methods through beta and kappa tells us what return the market demands for that level of risk. This concludes my brief on the different concepts related to capital budgeting and sensitivity analysis. These are the references I used to compile the information on my slides. Thanks for listening and have a good day.